You're watching Pulse for the 24th or 25th of January, and it's time for some Diablo news. In this week's episode, we take a look at the huge system changes coming to Diablo 3, beta patch 10 that has pretty much implemented all said system changes, Jay Wilson's message to Korea, and more. Let's get straight to the news. First up, the Diablo 3 development team thought it about time to provide everyone with an update on the systems that they're currently working on. So they changed some of the systems that they've gotten the most feedback on, both internally and externally from our beta testing, and this includes crafting, items, core attributes, and inventory changes. In addition, they're going to be working on some other major changes to the skill and rune systems that they say they're not quite ready to talk about yet. So let's start off small. Scrolls of identification are no longer in the game. Unidentified items and the act of actually identifying them is still very much part of the game, but now when you actually pick up an item that needs identifying, you'll simply right click it, your character will examine the item, and it will become identified. I kind of like that change. Button 5 or Quick Slot 5 is now dedicated to potions. The Mystic Artisan has been removed from the game. The Cauldron of Jordan and the Nephilim Cube have also both been removed. The Blacksmith is now responsible for salvaging players' items. Common or white-colored items are no longer salvageable. I honestly think that is also a pretty good change, seeing that now you won't have to worry about deciding if you want to salvage the items or sell them. Now you can just sell all the white items, make some gold on the side, and salvage all the magic ones. Next, the Stone of Recall is now a button at the bottom of the screen, and it has been renamed to Town Portal. Yes, good old Town Portal is back. Now for what I would say is the biggest of this post. Characters' core attributes have been changed. We no longer have precision, defense, vitality, and attack. We've now got dexterity, intelligence, vitality, and strength. These are still pretty simple and easy to understand. Strength gives barbarian damage and armor. Dexterity gives demon hunter damage, monk damage, and dodge. Intellect or intelligence gives wizard damage, witch doctor damage, and health from globes. And lastly, vitality just gives health. If you want to know what I think about these, I think it's about time. You know, it's probably better to stick to the stats that everyone knows. Strength, dexterity, intellect, vitality, those are the classics. Why change them? So I'm really happy to see them back. Now the last change, that's not really a huge one. Character stats are now placed in the same place as the inventory panel. That means it looks sort of like World of Warcraft's inventory or character panel now, but I still think it'll work just as well as it did before. That's pretty much it. If you want to check these changes out for yourselves, you can check the post out on the official Diablo 3 community sites. It's all there, and they've even got some screenshots to have a look at, as you've probably seen. They let us know that they want Diablo 3 to be the best game that it can be when it launches, and that their job isn't just to put out a game, it's to release the next Diablo game. I can't argue with that. They say that no one will remember if the game is late, only if it's great. Some pretty inspirational lines there. Lastly, they say that Jay Wilson, who actually wrote this post, is the game director for Diablo 3 and the inventor of meat. He believes that Kate Beckinsale is the greatest actress that's ever lived. Now that's one point I might actually be able to argue about, but I'm not going to do so here. Anyway, let's move on to the next piece of news. Now we're going to have a quick talk about Diablo 3 Beta Patch 10. So this patch is going to be a little bit dull to have a look at after we just covered all the system changes. Yes, most of those were actually applied during this patch, but there are a couple that weren't mentioned. Firstly, I will just say that to my dismay, all characters have once again been wiped. As you know, this wipe will affect gold, achievements, items, followers, and artisans. Your Battle.net balance has been reset back to 50 beta bucks, and as I mentioned before, the core character attributes have been reworked significantly. I'm not going to cover those entirely again because we did speak about them before, but now we've got dexterity, intellect, strength, and vitality. Moving on, armor will now supplement defense as well as provide extra physical resistance. Plus chance to crit has been added as an item affix. Player life per vitality has been changed a little bit. Players will now start out with 10 life per vitality at level 1. Nephilim altars have been removed, and players can now swap unlocked skills at any point during gameplay via the skill list. This will impose a 30-second cooldown on the newly activated skill, during which time the skill cannot be exchanged for another. That's pretty interesting. I am quite curious as to why they actually changed this back yet again, but there is that quick cooldown there, so it is slightly different now. Added to that, I did actually like how the Nephilim altars looked. They were quite pretty, so I'm wondering if they're going to use that again somewhere in the future. Now there are a couple here that I'm once again not going to be covering fully. The Scrolls, the Nephilim Cube, the Cauldron of Jordan, the Stone of Recall, and the Skill Slot. But skills will now display simplified tooltips by default. To view the advanced tooltips, you can press and hold the control key while hovering over skill icons. The duration of the global chill effect granted by cold damage has been decreased from 0.4 seconds to 0.6. Achievements have once again been re-enabled. Then there are a bunch of class changes which I won't cover in full here, but I will say that if you are, for instance, interested in the barbarian changes, you can just open up the patch notes, scroll down to them and have a peek. Moving along though, leveling artisans in normal difficulty now only requires gold. That's pretty cool. Then there are a bunch of interesting general changes here. The only one that I'm going to mention that's actually not something we've covered before is that the drop rate of magic items between level 1 and 20 has been lowered. Single affix magic items are now introduced more slowly, and double affix magic items won't appear until later in the game. Then wandering merchants now have a 50% chance to sell a limited stock rare item of any type. Amulets have been moved from the collector to the fence. Lastly, before mentioning that there are only bug fixes left, electrified monsters no longer spew lightning on death, and arcane enhanced monsters no longer cast an extra arcane beam on death. That's pretty much it for the patch notes. One interesting thing that a bunch of websites have uncovered is that there are new icons for potions. You can see them on your screens right now. They are looking pretty cool. Then along with all of this, you can see some undocumented changes over at Diablo fans and a bunch of blue posts relating to the whole patch 10 thing. I am going to be starting my Witch Doctor playthrough soon, so if you guys want to see these changes in action, then just keep checking back here soon for that. Again though, have a look at the full patch notes below and be sure to let me know what you think about them. I'm interested to hear your opinions because I gotta say there were quite a few pretty dramatic changes in this patch. So let me know below, and with that let's move on to the next piece of news. Now we have a video that was released on the Korean Blizzard YouTube channel. This was done by Jay Wilson and aimed at the Korean Diablo 3 fans. So this was posted on the 19th of January, and Jay Wilson put a little extra emphasis on one line in the video. The release date is nearing. Yes, that is pretty much the most interesting part of the video. He says that they're currently working hard to deliver Diablo 3 and ensure that it lives up to everyone in Korea's expectations. And I suppose that counts for the rest of the world as well. This was in English, so you can check it out for yourself right here on YouTube, but with that done, let's move on to the Diablo 3 Smalls. First up in the Smalls, read how the Diablo 3 senior game producer has left Blizzard Entertainment. Could Blizzard's next-gen MMO with the codename Titan be going post-apocalyptic? Read more about this over at BlizzPlanet. Then read how Diablo saved the computer RPG. Check out an interview with Aaron Williams. Have a look at the latest Diablo fan art watch post over at Diablo Inc. Gamers. And lastly, check out Purgatory for January the 23rd. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the Diablo news. Check back here soon for more. Remember to check the description below this video for everything that I spoke about. Like the video, favorite it, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Most importantly though, happy Diablo 3 Beta Patch 10.